On this episode of Game Shack, I show you how to upgrade the stock speaker on your Arcade1up machine. Coming up next. Okay, one of the first mods I did when I replaced the Space Invaders controller deck with my home built one, which you can see a link of kind of how I made that here. I took the speaker out of it because at the time I had no other speakers that I could put into the cabinet. So I knew I wanted to repurpose the speaker that came with the Space Invaders and put it on the back just so I'd have something. Now I'm powering it with a $15 Kinter amp that I got off of Amazon. I have, I think, 3 other of this style of amplifier. Let me show you one I've had for a while. This is the Lipe. I think this is it's a little bit bigger and I think a little bit beefier. But I've had really good experience with these little $15 to $20 amps. They sound remarkably good. They do give you some EQ control over in terms of bass and treble. If you get just a 2.0 version, it just gives you a left and right channel. And watch out too for this. Sometimes they don't all come with power supplies. If you see one that's like for $12, it probably doesn't have a power supply. Even the ones for $15 might not have a power supply. So really check for that. I will leave a link for this in the description below, but who knows, they sell out all the time. So I just mounted this with using, just 2 drywall screws in there, and I mounted this to this. Now, I only did that this way because I didn't have time before Christmas to drill all the holes in it and everything. So I just screwed it right to it, and it sounds okay. But the speaker, once you look at the speaker, I mean, it's a bad speaker. Now for $15, you can get one of these. These might even be a little cheaper. They kind of vary in price, but this is right around a $15 speaker, $12 speaker. And I'm going to take this one off here and just compare them. But I'm expecting that this is going to be a massive improvement over the stock speaker in the Gen 1 and Gen 2 speakers. Okay, so I've taken off the stock speaker here, and here's the replacement speaker. I actually have 2 of these, so I am going to make it a stereo unit. And I don't know if you can just see the difference in quality, but they're massive. You can really see it better on the back of these speakers. At least I think you can. So there's kind of that one, and there's that guy. I mean, just this one probably about twice as heavy as this. This is rated, it says 5 watts on the back, and this is rated for 50 watts. So for, 10, 15 bucks, you're getting a speaker that should be vastly better sounding than the stock speaker. Now, I don't know what kind of speakers are coming in the 2020 cabinets or 2021 cabinets from Arcade1up. I don't know if you're just getting stereo versions of this, or if you're getting something closer to this, or if you're getting something in the middle. I'd say this is about a mid-grade type car speaker type replacement. Now for this mod, I'm going to be putting the speakers on either side of this amp from the bottom, and I'm just going to drill small holes based on the holes I find in the other existing cabinet. I figure that'll be a pretty good judge. There are other places now, depending on what cabinet you have, you could put them underneath here, but you can tell on these Space Invaders cabinets, there's not enough room here to stick a speaker. Some units there might be, but I'd say the other most common place you can put them is right here. You can put 2 speakers here and here, and I thought about doing that, but I've ordered some Space Invaders artwork that I'm going to have here and on my stand, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to drill holes into it. So that's really a personal preference thing. I just think it'll probably sound at least as good, maybe even better up here. And if it sounds like crap, I can always move it later. So anyway, I'm going to take this part out. I'm going to measure up the speakers, and then I'm going to drill the holes in them. So I took the old deck from the Space Invaders game that came stock with the machine, and it looks like a 3/16 inch drill bit fits exactly. So what I'm going to do is just kind of drill a bunch of holes kind of in the same pattern into the back of the panel I just removed. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is cut a center hole And just kind of make a little pattern on the outside of it. This is not very stout board, so it is very easy to drill through. Now I'm drilling it on the outside, try to keep it a little neater. Again, this does not have to be any kind of scientific thing. Okay, so I've gone ahead and drilled a bunch of holes. Going this direction because you can see it leaves a little bit more, well, maybe you can see. See, it's a little bit gnarlier on that side. So go ahead and drill through the top. Makes it look a tad nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this now with those drywall screws. I probably will end up replacing those drywall screws with small bolts and nuts. But for now, I just want to get this thing in and fired up. And I just want to see how it sounds. I want to see if it sounds significantly better than what I had, which was very tinny and just not very good at all. So it'll at least be stereo. So let me go ahead, attach the speakers to the bottom, slide it back in. I'll have to, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to have a little hole here and here to run my wires from the speakers up through and into the power ports here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just wired up the speakers here. Wired them up through the hole I drilled, put them into the amp. And so now I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this in. And I have the cords, I have the power cord and the RCA cords kind of running through the back board that comes with the machine. I'll show you that in a second. I previously already drilled a hole through here for the RCAs and the power, so I'll go ahead and plug in the power. Red to wet red, in this case black to white. It's a pretty easy mod to do. Again, if you don't want to put it here, you could put it above the kick plate, which a lot of people do. You could even put it on, from the inside out on the sides of your cabinet. I don't want to do that, but you certainly could. Heck, you could even just forego having speakers built in and just have exterior speakers using the same amp here. You could even, I've thought about just putting a little L bracket or a little shelf here with just little bookshelf speakers. It's really whatever you want to do. In fact, I might end up doing that if I put these speakers into the Star Wars pinball game that I'm hopefully going to get. Speaking of that, you can put a subwoofer into this setup. If you have an amp that's a 2.1 amp, I'll have a link for that below. I just don't know that that's worth it for the games I play, which is mostly Atari, maybe some Super Nintendo, and the arcade classics that you'd run off of MAME. None of those games really have extraordinary sound to start with. Many of them are just in mono anyway, so there's only so much you can tweak these kind of older games. On the other hand, these virtual pinball games have amazing sound. They have soundtracks, and it makes more sense to try to kind of throw some money at that. So I may even just take these speakers out, put them into the pinball game. I did get a little woofer for that system. I'm not going to deal with it here because I just don't think it's worth it. Gives you a little bit of a taste of the sound here.
10 seconds.
Anyway, thanks for stopping in for this mod. If you like this kind of content, please comment down below if there's a magic combination of things I've missed out on in terms of speakers. These are 4-inch speakers I've put in, maybe 3 sound just as good. I don't know. The stock speaker was a 3-inch speaker though, and I did not want to try to mess with that again. At least, well, maybe 3.5-inch stock speaker. Anyway, like, subscribe, share, love each other, and until next time, mwah, I'll see you in the Game Shack. Who doesn't like seeing footage of someone taking something out of a clamshell? It's so freaking easy. I guess I'll say that. If you're afraid of clamshells, don't buy this particular style. Scary.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.